p.m., there are no scripts to read, and what we're going to do is sit down and have a conversation about your 77 years. You were born on August the 9th, 1924, and your parents raised you and two brothers in San Antonio during the Depression. You married Mom in 1950, and then 5 kids were born. So what I'd like to do is to review those 77 years and discuss what was significant and important to you over those years.
You know, that's fascinating, and the reason why it really is, I thought I would loathe doing this. Last night I couldn't sleep because I couldn't breathe, and I reviewed all of this. And what it really has made me realize is that I've got so much to be grateful for. In 77 years, in just a small segment of life, the assets are so many. You know, how in the world could you mind dying if you could say, 52 years I've been married, 52 years I've practiced law. During all of that time, it has been filled with rewards, with ashes, with Roman candles. It's just so wonderful to think. 5 children, all of them lawyers. I raised them strangely, but loved every one. I mean, with a deep love, and always had a proximity with the children. I mean, in other words, they could always go, and no matter where it was, they were free to go, whether it was Vegas or wherever, and that was often. But I guess what I'm saying is, all those amount to so many assets that imagine me now, soon to be 77, saying to the Lord, why me? Of course, you know what I really want to say. How come you didn't do it sooner? Why'd you give me so much?
Why'd you choose the Marine Corps?
I thought I was awfully tough and strong and patriotic, and that with me in the Marine Corps, we would measurably shorten the war.
For over 50 years, you've never mentioned much about your World War II experience. It's common not to talk about it, but why for you personally has it been so difficult to talk about the war?
A lot of reasons, mostly because of post-EWO. See, I had a hard graduate course leading up to EWO. Went through boot camp at San Diego, went through Pendleton, and that didn't take but about 90 days, and then I was overseas. Well, frankly, when you go from Guadalcanal to Bougainville to Guam to Iwo Jima, that is a pretty good course in hardship and turbulence and death and suffering. And what it did for me, I know that practically every contemporary I had came out of the Marine Corps with what we call demons. That's all you were entitled to say, that you had demons, because you couldn't say that you had post-traumatic stress and all that sort of thing, because it wasn't fashionable. I had a gunnery sergeant one time. I said, you know, I think Sarge, I think after I thought this over and we were training for EWO, I said, I think what I am is a conscientious objector. And he said, let me tell you, if you tell anybody other than me that, you'd get 10 years at Portsmouth. And we were all scared to death. We were all beat up. I despised war. The Japanese were cruel, terribly. I can't imagine why people don't understand that. I just had too many flamethrowers and rifles, and to where I know that the only heroes were the ones that were dead, and it just took me a terrible time to adjust after WW2. I was crazy. That's why that the story that to me lends a little bit of, when I got back and we were all so crazy. We formed the Semper Fidelis Club on the campus, and the reason why we did that was it's kind of like death and dying. You can talk to someone who's dying. It's kind of like we could, did you get the demons, and did you know what I'm talking about? They did, and we did, and I was the president of the Semper Fidelis Club, and the dean of women called me one time, and our guys were all over the women's dorm, and I was so damn crazy, as all of us were. She wanted to see what they'd done. I said, well, what, ma'am, if you don't mind me asking, what the hell is the problem? We'd trash the place, run the girls out, all kinds of, I didn't see anything wrong. We'd cleaned it up. But I mean, that's the way we were. It took us that long to settle down. And so I refuse to give any grandiosity either to that way of life or to the grandiosity of war or how great Iwo Jima was. It just untrue in my mind.
You told me a story that while you were in the South Pacific, that you, like all the other kids who were 17 and so afraid of dying, that you made a commitment to the chaplain that once you got out, that if you were one of the ones that lived, you were going to continue a tradition of daily Mass.
You know, in the Marine Corps, the Catholic chaplains were very important because somehow or other they would set up the little things and you would have Mass. Somehow or other you got a lot of inspiration. Of course, anything to give you a little bit of courage. Anything to give you a little bit of courage. And this guy was beautiful. We called him the old man. He was 25 years old. He had a wonderful deal about, you guys are all screwed up and you're going to have a hard life after you get out of here, difficult time getting out of here, but I'll give you the secret. And he sold me, and I think everybody else, on the idea all you had to do was go to Mass every day. And if you go to Mass every day, you've got it made.
And the commitment you made, I take it after you got out of the Marine Corps, you honored it.
Never failed unless I was just too hungover, I couldn't make it. But each day I went to Mass, I enjoyed it more. And as you know, now that I have this pulmonary fibrosis, one of the great losses I have is not being able to go to the cathedral, because I opened it up, for 25 years, and that's a big loss. But yeah, I've always felt like, frankly, if I have contributed anything, value, and if I've been loyal and decent, reasonably so, it is because of the daily Mass. I feel very, very, very strongly about it.
You've talked a lot about how grateful you were to FDR because post-war there were so many opportunities you never thought were available to you.
I'll never forget that. We were in the Marine Corps and we heard about his death, and it was during that period we all got thinking. See, when you think I was 17 to 21, among other things, I felt like, well, it isn't right to rob a kid of your that which is important. All the meaningful things were taken, to have to go through a period like that. But somehow along the line, with Roosevelt, and frankly, Senator Ralph Yarborough, we got the idea, wait a minute, there's a chance we can get out of the Marine Corps and we can do great things. And that's the reason why we loved old Ralph. Put the jam on the bottom shelf where the little guy can reach it. We were the little guys. And then when we went to the university, hell, we found out we were damn special.
Even in college, it seems that your religion was important. The Newman Club was
very important for the daily Mass feature. Really was. I sometimes say that that being a Democrat and being a Catholic, other than my children and my profession and my marriage, are the most important things in my life.
How'd you meet Lyndon Johnson?
Along the way, through guys, that knew Lyndon, and he knew that I was an indefatigable worker. He knew that I could, kind of write roughneck like he needed them. And, he was in Austin, and I was in Austin. It was just really easy. See, politics were more provincial in those days.
There's a story that Lady Bird Johnson tried to talk you out of politics.
She did, just thinking that, and she was dead right, that the two of us had too much fun together, and that he could outwork, outdrink anybody. And I always admired Lyndon because he really, really wanted to help the poor, and did, more significantly than any human being I've ever known.
You said many times you don't believe lawyers ought to be specialists.
You know, a trial lawyer is a trial lawyer. A trial lawyer is representing people. And I've always thought it's terrible to circumscribe yourself. No, I'm a products liability man. Or that's absolute nonsense. Because the joy are clients and people and causes and principles. That's what practicing law is all about. That's why when I say about 52 years has been a long run, but a short run from the standpoint of gratification.
Looking back, is there anything you wish you would have done differently?
You know, I really can't. I guess that's the reason why when I, talk about all these assets of 52 years of doing this and of having the same wife and the very rewarding, I think, very rewarding children. I'm so grateful to have done this because I didn't realize how fulfilling life had been until I was told I have a terminal disease and I'm going to die in a year and that sort of thing. And I got to thinking, wait a minute, I've had 70 all this time. I've had 76 years of endeavor, soon 76. I sure don't want to complain. No, I don't really know that I'd throw another log on.
When you were first diagnosed with pulmonary fibrosis, you didn't seem to have any reluctance at all to talk to anybody about dying.
Well, I gathered all my friends around that we've talked about, and I had learned, and I really mean that, a guy who is dying like I am wants to talk about dying if he wants to heal in every way. And I'm so grateful when someone says, well, I understand you're dying, and we talk about it. And frankly, about the only thing I've got left to do is to be an example on how to die well, peacefully, joyfully, gratefully. And if I can do that in tranquility, then I count myself 100 total success. All I really want.
Something I know that's really important to you is when you quit drinking and you joined AA.
That really has been a big item. One, it was so hard to do. And two, I never really was blessed with the idea, well, you quit and never want to drink again. To be honest with you, I didn't enjoy a drink every day since I quit. But what it meant was that I was able to give and to share a portion of me that I never could before. And I was able to give a lot to my family, too. And that has been a big item in my life, 15 years of not drinking, because I never thought I could.
You've said with your faith you don't mind dying, but you've also said you want to hang on to life as long as you can. Isn't there a contradiction there?
Well, see, you understand, I will die with the greatest of reluctance and the strongest of resistance, because I'd love to stay here. I'm having fun. I would love to try more and more lawsuits. But having said that, I still am trying very hard to die well, because of course I hate to leave. It's been a lot of fun.
You have almost become a professional eulogizer at funerals of your friends. What would be important for you to hear at your own funeral?
Well, I think kind of a resume of what we've just said, and that is that he died with gratitude. He died for being a lawyer who represented the poor and the deserving. He died because he was so grateful to a wife who would stay with him more than half a century. He died because he knew he died with the love of his children. He died because, frankly, he was proud of being a Democrat and a Catholic. And those things, unimportant to some, were important to him. And so, therefore, he died in full gratitude, recognizing that life has been rewarding and good. That would kind of sum it up for me. And I suppose that's the way I would eulogize for others, as I have so often. What's important to you?